The following is a sponsored program paid for by Swartz Culleton. The stories you are about to see are real.
It was a tough moment in life. I get choked up a little bit now even thinking about it.
They are stories of pride.
When you can't provide for your family, you want to, but you physically can't. It's a scary situation.
And pain.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think the pain was well over 11.
Of heartbreak.
It was horrible. I'd rather something happen to me than to her.
And hope.
It was a good feeling. It was relief, basically.
They are real cases from the files of Swartz Culleton.
When you can't provide for your family, you want to, but you physically can't. It's a scary situation. Hi, my name is James. I live with my wife, Terry, my son, Jackson, and I'm a professional tractor trailer driver.
My name is Terry. I've been with James for the past 7 years now, and I'm a registered nurse.
Oh, Terry has a great personality. She's fun to be around.
Jackson is his biggest fan. They are inseparable. He is his right-hand little dude. They go everywhere together. We've taken Jackson to see Daddy's big trucks. Jackson very much thinks it's very cool.
I will go to work every day. Never called out. Just enjoy going to work and being there.
Being a tractor trailer driver is what he is. This is what he identifies himself as, and if it's a truck, he can drive it.
The night of the accident was a bad night. It was icy, wet outside. It started raining and hailing. I made the delivery at my first stop, and by the time I got there, the truck was covered in ice, and as I was proceeding out of the truck, I lost my footing, and the hand grip was covered in ice, so I basically just slipped right off the truck. I remember saying to myself, oh, I'm going to hit hard when I hit the ground. So, yeah, I think I might have passed out because when I got up, my clothes were soaking wet.
James called me. It was right before I got up, the morning after he fell from his truck.
When I went to go lift my arm to grab onto the handrail to walk up the steps back on the truck, I couldn't lift it up completely. Then I realized it was hurt bad.
He never complains about stuff like that. So for him to actually call knowing that I wasn't up yet, it had to be bad.
My first instinct was to figure out how can I continue the rest of the day. I still have 4 more stops to go. I got through that despite the pain, and came back to the warehouse and parked the truck, secured it and parked the truck.
I told him that he really should go to the emergency room and have that checked out.
I was already thinking about how can I fix this to go to work later on for the next shift, later on at night.
Knowing James, he was very much, no, I got to take a nap. I got to go to work tonight. And I told him, no, you're not going to work tonight. You're going to go have your shoulder looked at.
My shoulder was swelled up like double the size. I couldn't move my arm at that time at all. From a 1 to 10, I would say it was a 15 to 20. It was the worst pain I ever felt.
I met him at the hospital after I was finished with work, and he looked miserable. He was obviously in a lot of pain.
For the night that I fell, through dealing with the workman's comp, they fought every bit of the way. Every time I set up a schedule and they set up a schedule for me to go get the MRI done, the people at the MRI place would call me hours before the appointment and say, hey, the insurance company said they're not paying for it, and as you want to pay for it out of your pocket, we have to cancel the appointment. We're not going to do it.
I never thought that he'd be out of work for any extended period of time. I figured, he always bounces back from everything. This was just going to be one of those things, and a couple days off, a little bit of Tylenol, we'll be fine. But that wasn't the case this time.
Starting to thinking about my family now. How am I going to be able to provide for them? You know, something like this never happened to me before. My son knew I was injured. He saw my arm in a sling. It kind of made me feel bad when he would come up to me and say, "Hey, can we play?" You know, and I'm telling him, "No, I can't play with you right now because my arm is hurting bad."
After the accident, he and Jackson couldn't play wrestle like they did before. He couldn't pick him up.
By that time, the bank account savings started getting smaller, and our bills are still coming, but, you know, we live paycheck to paycheck. You know, we're hard-working people.
He's one that gets up before the sun comes up, and he just hits the floor running. And now he's just sitting on the couch, not doing anything. And, you know, it had to have been hard on him. I know it was hard on us.
The first time I heard about Brandon Swartz, I was sitting home on the couch at 3 o'clock in the morning, actually praying, I need some kind of guidance or help or something, because I honestly at this point do not know what to do. So then suddenly this commercial comes on TV, and I'm like, what do I got to lose? I'll give him a call. By that time, I actually had got a letter in the mail to go to court. I called Brandon the next morning and explained to him exactly what happened.
So, you know, he goes to court.
I guess the company didn't think I was going in there with a lawyer.
You know, it went really well.
They approved us the workman's comp even before we went in the courtroom.
Brandon's reputation was out there.
I feel that had I went in there alone, I would have never got a settlement at all, let alone the amount that that we received.
It was enough that we could put that in the bank and we could move on, and, you know, our future seemed like, okay, we're back on track now.
At this point, I'm back to driving tractor trailers again. I was able to build my bank account savings back up. We're actually making settlement on a home to purchase our first home together. It's
the perfect house that we've waited for. We are so excited about that.
The word I would use to describe Brandon and his lawyers firm is outstanding. Outstanding.
I would just say thank you. Thank you, thank you. I mean, thank you is not even enough.
My name is Brian Ferris, and I'm an attorney at the law firm of Swartz Culleton. You matter to us is, in my opinion, a motto that plaintiffs' attorneys, especially here at Swartz Culleton, have to live by. We really grow close to a lot of our clients. We are constantly in communication with them. We probably give out our cell phone numbers to clients more than any firm I could imagine. And you matter to us is really a notion that every case matters to us, every client matters to us. And now that's what gets me up in the morning, of waking up and going to bat for people who can't go to bat for themselves.
It's tough talking about it. It's still, I have some post-traumatic stress from it. I still have nightmares every night about it. My name's Carl. I'm an electrician and a project manager estimator for an electrical construction company. As a kid, I used to take my dad's radios apart and my mom's, and get yelled at all the time for those kinds of things. First time I thought about being an electrician was I was 18 or 19, working in a flea market, and there was an electrician on the job doing his thing, and I talked to the gentleman for an hour or so. I think I bothered him through his lunch hour, matter of fact, and that's when I first wanted to be an electrician. I was not able to put my dad's radio back together. It was a mess. The project that I was working on before I got hurt was a handicap school project. I was a project manager for a larger company who did these projects. The service on this project needed to be changed on a Saturday. I couldn't get anybody else to work on that Saturday, so I actually went back into the field. I had to do the service hot because they didn't want to shut down the residential halls. A hot transformer is a live transformer. The men on the job had pulled the cables into the transformer. I was there to hook up the wires on the hot side of the transformer. So I had most of the wires hooked up, got down to the last two. When I put it to the hot transformer, it blew up. And when I say blow up, I mean it arced, burnt the skin off of both of my arms, blew me back about 10, 15 feet onto the ground. Not good. When the arc flash first happened, all I remember is the loud noise. It's like putting a grenade inside a tin can and you being inside it. It's deafening. And I found myself just staring at my arms because the skin was, again, burned off of both arms. I had burns on my face and yeah. After the arc flash and me sitting on the ground, some men from the project threw me in their car and took me to the hospital because it was faster than an ambulance coming, and they were worried about me going into shock. I had skin grafts on both arms. After I was released from the hospital, I would go back for skin graft care. It's the worst pain I've had. Broken leg, broken arm, broke my vertebrae in my back. I've never had that kind of pain. But the worst part is the mental part of it, the getting blown up. It's just, still going to doctors trying to help me through that part of it. That's an everyday process. About 2 months after the accident, I had gone to the owner of my company and the workman's comp, and I got no real answers from them. I had seen a commercial for Swartz Culleton, and it was about exactly what was happening to me. So I called, and they took my case, and they had given me a list of different doctors who had dealt with people like me in the past, both psychologically and physically. And that, for me, was honestly a lifesaver. The legal part, they're exceptional at. But if it wasn't for Swartz Culleton and the doctor that I ended up with, I'd be a mess. The positive now for me is that I'm still alive. and that I can enjoy day-to-day stuff and hang with my grandson and my kids. Physically, I may be able to get back to fishing and maybe playing golf and that sort of thing. And so my future is a lot brighter than it was 2 years ago when this accident first happened.
Real cases from the files of Swartz Culleton.
I am a certified nurse's assistant. One day I fell on the job and badly injured my knee. The pain was agonizing. I didn't know what to turn. I thought things would never be the same. Then my claim was denied, so I called the attorneys of Swartz Culleton. They stood up to the insurance company and got me an excellent cash settlement. Swartz Culleton got me justice.
If you've been injured, get justice.
Call 1-800-JUSTICE today.
I was scared that I wouldn't be able to walk again. And, that's a bad feeling to know that you're going to have to get around in a chair all the time. Hi, my name is Christy, and I've been married to my husband for 34 glorious years. We always say glorious, and I have 3 children.
Christy was a great mother. She did everything for our kids, much more so than I did because I was unfortunately always busier. My name's Bill. I used to do electrical controls for a hydraulics machinery company.
And we were home and, just enjoying retirement. Go for dinner once a week or go shopping. Just kind of nice. I had MS. My legs were swollen and wouldn't go down. Went to rehab to try to get up and get back to moving around again.
The insurance company, she wasn't showing improvement, so they didn't want her staying there any longer. And Christy didn't want to be there any longer. I didn't want her there any longer.
When they were transferring me and getting me ready to go home the next day, they noticed that I had a bad bed sore.
But then they found that wound and they said they should keep her, and she wasn't having any of it.
And they didn't want me to go home the next day anyway, but I wanted to.
So they sent her home with a little jar of cream, and they told me to put it on the wound a couple times a day.
When I got home, Bill had to help me to get into the bed.
He put her in bed the first time, and I said, well, I guess we should see what this thing looks like. And I got the little thing of cream, and I got to where I could see it, and I was like, whoa, I think that's above my pay grade.
My husband saw it and saw how bad it was, and he was upset.
I didn't expect to see anything that bad. I was thinking it'd be a little wound. I put a little cream on it, and I'm looking at this big, nasty-looking thing. And the next day, the home care nurse saw it, and she went bananas.
When the nurse came, she said they must not have done anything to you other than left you lie there in bed. And that's kind of what happened a lot of the days.
It was horrible. I mean, when you hear your wife in pain and there isn't really anything much you can do for her, that doesn't make you feel very good.
I never imagined I'd get one of them when I went into that place.
I'd rather something happen to me than to her or to one of my children. The home health nurse said that, that's really bad and that she needed to get back in a hospital and have it taken care of.
And that's when we started the whole process of healing.
The doctor that did all the work on her, he was great. And when he finally discharged her, he said that the first time he saw her up on the floor, he didn't think she would live the week. I mean, it was really, really bad.
And that's when we found out that they had to remove a lot of the dead areas and regrow skin, and it was a big, long process.
He found infection all the way into the tailbone. He had to remove a couple of pieces of it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I think the pain in my back and butt area was well over 11. It was a lot of pain.
The home health care nurse said that, she doesn't ever tell people this, but, that wasn't right and it should never have happened, and you really need to pursue, legal recourse. My overall experience with Swartz Culleton, they are patient, they are knowledgeable, and they get results.
I thought the law firm made a big difference in me getting the settlement that we deserved.
I wish we could give the money back and she'd have never had to go through all that, but you can't go back. You can only move forward.
Oh my goodness, we can get a van. We really wanted the transportation, so that was one of the best things there, and compensation for the pain.
Well, the number one thing is we need to get a vehicle where I can get Christy around. We're just waiting on that getting done, and we will be able to get her out in the world again.
Last year, I was only out of the house 5 times.
get her out to dinner or breakfast or something sometime. I mean, it may sound silly, but, you know, for, gosh, probably 2 years or more, haven't been able to really, you know, just have fun.
I'm very positive about my life going forward from this part on, that we can get out and enjoy things.
The words that best sum up Christy, if I had to use one word, would be tough, because I don't think I could have gone through what she did. She was an iron woman.
My name is Larissa Stasky, and I am an attorney for Swartz Culleton. I feel that sometimes when clients come to us, they're really in a bad place. So you have to sort of get into their head, understand where they're coming from. You have to put yourself in their shoes. And that's what I try to do with every single client. I try to get to know them. I try to get to understand them. I mean, I've been to clients' homes. I know the name of their family dog. They call me on the weekends, text me at night, and I'm always there for them. At the end of the day, when I go home, I always think about my clients. Just because I leave this office doesn't mean I stop thinking about them. You're not working for a corporation, you're working for an individual. And that's where compassion and also empathy comes in. I feel that if I can relate to their situation, then we have a better attorney-client relationship.
They are your parents or grandparents. In your youth, you looked up to them. Now they are in your care. But something went terribly wrong. There have been unexplained injuries due to what you suspect is nursing home neglect. A fall, bed sores, even wrongful death. It's time to call the law firm of Swartz Culleton at 1-800-JUSTICE. Swartz Culleton understands nursing home neglect and will fight for just compensation.
If you've been injured, get justice.
Call 1-800-JUSTICE.
I never wanted to see, you know, my father not being able to care for himself. So now when my father's laying in this nursing home, then things at the end started to happen, which made it even worse. You know, it was a tough moment in life. You know, I get choked up a little bit now even thinking about it.
My name is Peter.
I'm an electrician. And my dad was injured at a nursing facility while doing rehab.
My father's name was Bobby.
He was a strong man. He was a very strong man. He's from Georgia. You know, he was a country boy living in the city of Philadelphia. You know, married a beautiful woman, my mother. Loving guy, my dad. I'm the only child. He cherished me. I was his jewel, vice versa. My dad had a diabetic blackout. He fell, he hit his head on the street. Well, after a long stay in the hospital, they recommended rehab. The only places that we could find that would take my father were nursing/rehab centers. And we found what we thought was the perfect place. My dad was in the nursing home for about 6 months or so. I got a phone call from the chief executive officer of the nursing home. He explained to me that my father had sustained an injury, a broken right arm. They did not know how he broke his arm. And I said, you know, is he okay? And they said, yes, he's okay. We took him to the hospital, and I stayed here until they sent him back to the nursing facilities. Got him situated. I flew back to Michigan. Less than about 2 or 3 days, I get another phone call. I'm sorry, but your father was injured again. My dad's arm was broken for the second time a week after the first break, which to this day boggles me that a person can be treated like that. You know, but my father's arm was broken 2 different times within a 1 week span. The second break required surgery. It wasn't much longer after the second break when my dad went back to the nursing home, and his health had sort of started to fade at that point, because my father was a big, strong man. Here he is now laying in a nursing home, not able to care for himself, not able to get up and walk around and do what he was used to doing most of his life. And now he's getting broke up on top of that. So I strongly believe that, you know, my father's will and his spirit was beginning to diminish. Once the injury took place with my father, and I was given some information from some family members that I should seek out some legal help, I went to an attorney that my father had used in another case. Since this wasn't his expertise, he was going to find someone. That's when I got the phone call from Swartz Culleton. Chris Culleton is, I call him my English man, you know, because he's from England. And he is such a laid back professional. He assured me that he was going to not only take my case, but represent my father. But by then, my father had passed away. So my father passed away in between time. So I'm still crushed and hurt. I'm believing that this nursing home actually had a large part in contributing to my father not being here anymore. At the moment of the settlement, Chris and I were sitting next to each other. But when he told me what the number was, I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And Chris he was one of those guys that if I had to hire a lawyer, I've already referred him 4 times to people that I know that needed lawyers and will continue to refer them. That's how great they were for me. I thought about that many a times, what my father would say to me after we settled. And to this day, I know for a fact, I know my dad pretty well. My dad would have said, way to go, boy.
My name is Maria McGinty Ferris, and I am an attorney at Swartz Culleton. Brandon and Chris are involved in every case, but there's one attorney in the firm who's really the client's go-to person. That attorney is the one who has the most contact with the other side as far as the details go. So we really have the opportunity to get into the nitty-gritty of each case and focus on it. And we get the cases and dive into them right away so that we make sure we get everything we need when the medical records are still fresh or the police report is still fresh. I can do my job better when I know that I'm prepared for whatever's going to be thrown at me.
If you've been injured in an accident, know your rights. Call the attorneys at Swartz Culleton at 1-800-JUSTICE. Whether you've been injured in a car or work accident, or from medical malpractice or unsafe premises, get the justice you deserve. The attorneys at Swartz Culleton have the experience and expertise to get you the maximum result. Call 1-800-JUSTICE today.
If you've been injured, get justice.
Call 1-800-JUSTICE today.
The preceding was a sponsored program paid for by Swartz Culleton.